Welcome to our channel, all friends. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to stay update for new videos. Thanks. Let's start new video. When my husband got a job in Iran, I created a huge fuss, saying there was no need for him to leave me. Hearing this, my husband's mood soured. He said, "I've been looking for a job abroad for so long, and now that I've finally gotten one, you're making a scene." I gave my husband an earful and asked, "If you were going to power me anyway, then why did you marry me?" Actually, ours was a love marriage. My husband, Rehan's family didn't like me, so we lived in a separate house. Now, my worry was what would become of me if Rehan left me and went to Iran. Neither my family wanted to keep me, nor did I want to go to my in-laws' house. My sisters-in-law were at my home, and we absolutely didn't get along, especially after the huge scene they made about my love marriage. I couldn't even stand to look at their faces. This worry forced me to fight with Rehan. He argued with me for a long time, then slammed the door and went out. His behavior hurt me deeply, and I sat down and started crying. An hour passed while I cried, my eyes turned red, and my face became swollen. It was only then that Rehan returned. His special trait was that his anger would subside very quickly after an argument. Even now, when he returned home, his mood was completely normal, but seeing my face, he immediately got worried. He quickly came and sat next to me. "Miriam, why are you crying so much? What's the big deal? Everyone goes abroad, spends a few years, builds their future, and comes back. I'll also be back in just a few days. But because of these few days, our whole life will change. We'll be able to give our children a good home and good education." He was trying to explain to me, and I was just shedding tears without saying anything. "Okay, tell me what you want. You want me not to go to Iran, to stay here scratching for a living my whole life?" Finally, he sighed deeply, looking at me with worried eyes, exhausted. "I didn't say, Rehan, that I want to ruin your future or that I don't want you to progress," I said. "I'm just saying that if you take me with you, neither will I be worried, nor will you be troubled by worrying about me sitting abroad. I want to be with you, whether it's here or in Iran." Hearing my words, my husband thought for a while, then said, "Okay, I'll try to take you with me too." Hearing this, I was happy and hugged him. Then my husband tried very hard and somehow managed to decide for me to go with him. After a full 3 months, my husband and I left our homeland and set off for Iran, but my senses were rattled when I got there and realized that my husband's work hours weren't fixed. He'd leave on time in the morning, but neither I nor he knew when he'd return. For groceries, vegetables, and other necessities, I inevitably had to go out myself, and that's when I realized how difficult life abroad can be. I had to manage everything on my own. He'd come home tired and fall asleep right away, so I took charge of the rest of the household matters. Initially, this was a very difficult and challenging phase for me because I had never gone to the market like that, nor had I ever bought groceries or vegetables in such a way. However, my husband had shown me the market area as soon as we arrived here and told me that this was our colony's market. Then, when I started going to the market, a language problem also arose. I couldn't understand the language of the Iranian people. I would quietly buy my desired items through gestures, and with my gaze lowered, I would return home. Life had become very strange. Neither did my husband have time for me, nor could I talk to anyone else here. It felt as if my tongue had rusted. I was confined to a small circle. I couldn't even complain to Rehan because the decision to come here was my own. Then a month passed while I was living here, and in that month, I noticed something very strange. Whenever I went to the colony's market, among the different types of milk available somewhere or other, mare's milk was also being sold. I had never seen mare's milk being sold in any market in Pakistan like this, so it was a surprising thing for me. I didn't even know if drinking mare's milk was permissible or not, but my astonishment would increase even further when Iranian women were seen buying this milk. I started wondering what these women would do with this milk. I had heard of cows and buffalo's milk. Goat's milk was also used in Pakistan, but mare's milk, this was extremely surprising and unique for me. When I felt this strongly, I couldn't help but ask my husband, Rehan. I said to Rehan, "Rehan, do you know that mare's milk is also sold in the market here?" Hearing this, he was also surprised because he had never used mare's milk either. Then he said, maybe people drink mare's milk. I said, no, Rayhan, the way women buy that milk, I feel there's something else going on. Hearing my words, he laughed and said, you have a habit of spying on everything. Don't think too much, and then lay down to sleep. I also became quiet. Some time passed like this, and the matter came and went. Now I was getting very distressed by loneliness. I was a talkative girl who had always made many friends. I used to get friendly with everyone quickly. I loved chatting and socializing. But coming here, it felt as if I was imprisoned in a jail. Then one day I told my husband that I couldn't stay here anymore. He replied, go back then. I already told you there's no work for you here. In fact, because of you, the expenses have increased. If you were in Pakistan, we would have saved something by now. Hearing my husband, I got angry and said, I'm not saying all this to go back. I've decided that I will make new friends here. Hearing my words, he was surprised and said, what friendship will you have with these Iranian women? You don't know their language, nor do you know anyone. I told Rayhan, there are homes of many Iranian women in the neighborhood. If I visit one or two for a day or two, we'll get to know each other. He said, okay, if you think it's appropriate, then do it. He never had any objection to anything I said, and this was the most special thing about my married life. He trusted me blindly. But the biggest problem here was the language. I didn't say anything to Rayhan, but I started learning the Iranian language through YouTube. First, I learned small and big words and then whole sentences. 2 months passed like this. My heart was fully invested. It was a new task, and I was enjoying doing it. The words I learned, I would try to speak them in the market, and I was happy to see that the shopkeepers were starting to understand what I was saying. Then one evening after 2 months, Rayhan said that a friend of his had invited them for dinner, and me too, but he didn't want to take me. Hearing this, I was surprised and asked, after 2 months, an invitation has come from somewhere. Why don't you want to take me? He said that they were Iranian people, and he had learned the language, but what would I do there? That's when I told my husband that I also understood the Iranian language quite well now, and I could speak a little bit too. He was surprised to hear this because until then, I hadn't told him that I was learning the language. Then he took me with him to his friend's house. His friend's wife welcomed me very warmly, and I was surprised to see that she was so friendly that it didn't feel like we were meeting for the first time. I could understand almost everything she was saying, and in my broken language, I was also trying to talk to her. The good thing was that this woman, whose name was Mansa, also knew a fair bit of Urdu. Like other Iranian women, Mansa was very strict about observing purdah, veil. In fact, it was a special characteristic of Iranian women that they prioritized the veil. When Mansa met me, she took me to an inner room, and then we sat and talked. She asked me many questions about Pakistan. She was very eager to visit Pakistan, and I was very happy to hear this. Then I talked to her about Iran and told her that I had only been here for 2 or 3 months, but I was starting to get very bored. Hearing this, she said, whenever you feel like it, Mariam, come to our house, or I'll come to your place, and we'll go to the market together. I also do my own shopping because my husband also works long shifts like yours. Hearing this made me feel good. We quickly exchanged phone numbers too. My husband Rayhan and her husband were sitting in the outer lounge. We had served their food separately, while Mansa and I had our meal in the same small room where we were sitting. The food was excellent and delicious, and even more beautiful was Mansa's character, who had won my heart with her words and affection. On the way back from her house, I kept praising her the whole time, and Rayhan kept wondering, saying, you are strange. How can you become such good friends with someone on the very first meeting? I laughed and said, we women understand each other quickly, and above all, she is also lonely like me, so we'll get along well. Only 2 days had passed since that invitation. My husband had gone to work, and I was alone at home when the doorbell rang. I was surprised because no one ever came to my house. Then I peeked from behind the door and saw Mansa standing there. I quickly opened the door. She smiled and came inside, saying, I was going to the market. I thought I'd take you along too. We can both do some shopping together, and I'll also tell you about some things here, because you probably don't have information about many things and places. Hearing Mansa, I was very happy. I also needed to go to the market, so I quickly put on my veil like her and left the house with her. By the way, I didn't observe purdah in Pakistan, But here, Iranian women wore a large black chador and used it as a niqab. So after coming here, I also got one of those chadors, and I too started leaving the house completely veiled, just like them. After a while, Mansa and I reached the market. There, while Mansa bought quite a lot of stuff, she also bought a little bit of mare's milk. Seeing this, I was surprised, and I couldn't help but ask, Mansa, why did you buy this when you've also bought cow's milk? Upon my asking this, Mansa looked at me with very strange eyes and walked past the shop without giving any answer. I felt as if my question had offended her. I immediately felt embarrassed. Our friendship was still so new. If she got angry with me or took offense at something I said, it would really hurt me. I was angry at myself that I shouldn't have asked her about her personal matters. It was her choice to buy whatever she wanted. After that, I didn't ask her any more questions. She remained silent for the rest of the market trip, and I felt that our friendship was about to end. So I thought I should apologize to her. When we came out of the market and started our way back home, I slowly began to speak. Mansa, I apologize. Perhaps I shouldn't have asked you about your personal things. Hearing my words, she looked at me with surprise and said, Oh, it's nothing like that. Why are you worrying? I immediately replied, Mansa, I felt that you took my words badly. I'm truly embarrassed. She said, It's not like that. Your question wasn't wrong. It's just that the place wasn't suitable. Did you see how the shopkeeper was looking at you? That's why I immediately came out of that shop. Some things aren't meant to be said or done in front of everyone. It wasn't your question, but the place that was wrong. As we were talking, my house door appeared. She said, Okay, I'm getting late. I'll leave now. We'll talk again. She also had to cook, so she walked on without stopping, and I entered, pondering her words. Why would the shopkeeper look at us when I asked about mare's milk? He himself was selling that milk. What was the matter then? I kept thinking about this for the rest of the day. Even while doing housework, this kept running through my mind. Then in the evening, I called my mother and couldn't help but ask her, Mom, what is mare's milk used for? My mother was also surprised by my question and said, I don't know, dear. We've used only cow's or buffalo's milk our whole lives. After a short conversation, I hung up the phone. Later that night, my husband returned, and I set the table for dinner. Once we finished eating, I sat next to him. He was very tired, and his eyes were heavy with sleep. I nudged him and said, Rehan, at least say a few words. Since we came here, it feels like there's no time to talk. Then I added, I went to the market with Mansa today. Hearing this, he opened his eyes and looked at me, then said, Oh, really? So what did you bring? I looked at him disapprovingly and said, With the money you give, I can only buy groceries and vegetables for the house. How can I do my personal shopping? Hearing my words, he smiled and said, It's just for some time. Then I'll give you money for your shopping too. Then suddenly, the thought of the milk came to me, and I immediately addressed Rehan. Rehan, do you know what mare's milk is used for? For a moment, he looked at me and then said, I'm very sleepy. What strange questions are you asking? Before he could turn over and sleep, I nudged him again. Rehan, listen to me. Every woman in the market seems to be buying mare's milk, and Mansa bought it too, and then hid it as if it was some big secret. I told Rehan almost everything. He looked at me startled, then said, I don't know, but I'll ask Aslan tomorrow. Maybe he can tell something. Aslan was Mansa's husband. My husband said this and went to sleep peacefully, but I was seized by a strange restlessness. I picked up my mobile and started searching on YouTube, but I didn't find anything specific that would answer my question. I already had a bug of curiosity inside me. Anything that seemed a little different would make me pursue it. And something I hadn't seen in Pakistan, I was seeing here now, which is why I was more surprised and curious about what these people did with mare's milk. 2 more days passed, and then, on the 3rd day, Mansa came to my door to go to the market. Her behavior was completely normal, so I wasn't worried that she was upset with me. I left with her to go to the market, and then, as soon as we got to the market, she bought mare's milk again. This time, I thought I would ask her directly, plainly. But then I felt that if I asked something on the way, she might feel bad. So when she stopped at my door on the way back to drop me off, I said, Mansa, come inside. Today I've made a special Pakistani dish. Let's have lunch together. Hearing this, she was very happy because she had told me that she loved Pakistani food. She said, "Today I have time, so I can come." She came inside, placed her market groceries aside, and then took out the milk from it, asking for my permission to put it in the fridge, lest it spoil due to the heat. I said, "Is that even something to ask? This is your home." She opened the fridge door and put the bottle of milk inside. Here, milk was sold in bottles, not in plastic bags. I quietly watched this scene and then arranged the food on the table. I had made Pakistani biryani, which made her very happy. As she sat down to eat, I started asking her questions while we ate. "Mansa, if you don't mind, I want to ask something." She said, "What's there to mind? You are my friend. Ask what's on your mind." That's when I finally asked her, "Why do you buy this mare's milk? Is some special dish made from it?" Hearing my words, she smiled softly, then said, "No, I give it to my husband to drink." Hearing her, I jumped up and said, "To Aslan, brother?" She nodded in affirmation. I asked, "Why?" And she became quiet, looking at me. A slight blush appeared on her face, and I felt that there was something I shouldn't be asking. But then Mansa herself started speaking. She said, "It's been 3 years since my marriage. I've spent these 3 years very well with Aslan. But do you know how hot it gets here? The weather remains quite strange, dry and hot. And because of that, a person's temperament also changes, and their internal strength is also greatly affected. Then your husband and mine work very hard jobs. In fact, almost everyone's job in this country has similar hardships. The laws here are also very strict, so no leniency is shown in work. My husband has been working day and night for the past 3 years. We have everything, but I am deprived of the thrill of having children. Do you know why? Because when he returns home after working all day in such heat, he can neither give me time nor attention. Along with fatigue, he also suffers from a lot of weakness. That's why whenever he wants to come close to me and a connection is to be established between us, I give him this milk beforehand. Perhaps you don't realize it, but mare's milk has more protein than regular milk. Because of this, he feels powerful and energized, and our relationship improves. I hope I will get pregnant soon, and the biggest missing piece in our lives will be filled. Haven't you noticed that since coming here, Rehanabi's behavior has changed? That he doesn't give you much time, that he gets tired easily? She was looking at me, and I was nodding in agreement. Indeed, ever since I had come here, I had noticed that Rehan wasn't giving me the attention and time I deserved, or the kind of passionate love he used to show me in Pakistan. It seemed to have gotten lost somewhere here. She continued, "Mare's milk is not only high in protein, but it also keeps the intestines and stomach healthy. Most importantly, it is permissible and halal. That's why I always give this milk to my husband. And almost every woman here gives this milk to her husband so that he doesn't feel weak and no deficiency arises in their relationship. You can also try it if you want. People who are allergic to cow's milk can also use this milk comfortably as it causes no allergies or reactions." Mansa's words surprised me. I thought that I would also definitely try this milk. Then the next time I went to the market with Mansa, I also bought that milk. And when I gave that milk to my husband, I truly felt that after drinking it, there was a significant change in him. The fatigue that had started to plague him seemed quite normal now. His demeanor also began to change significantly, and most importantly, it was during those days that Mansa became pregnant. I started taking care of Mansa because she was also alone, just like me. Her family lived in another city. I took great care of Mansa during her pregnancy, giving her a lot of attention, which led her to give birth to a healthy baby girl. And then, her daughter was named Mariam, after me. Our friendship grew even deeper. After the birth of her daughter, I also became pregnant, and then she also started taking just as much care of me. My friendship with Mansa continued to deepen with time. When you find a kind and sincere person abroad, living away from home becomes easier. Mansa had become just such a friend to me. Whenever we go abroad, no matter what country it is, we get to see and hear different things. Every place has its own customs and traditions. The flavors of food are different. The way of thinking and perspective, and even the weather is completely different. That's why traveling abroad also teaches us many things about life that are new to us. And after coming here to Iran, I learned about the importance of mare's milk. Did you know about this before?